Welcome back to my free email marketing course. This is now the third video and episode in the free email marketing course. So we're going to be going through your post-purchase, so like your thank you flows. And in this video, we're going to be going through what to expect, how to structure your emails, and then obviously how to implement into Klaviyo as well, which is shown in every video. If you're new to this series and you haven't watched anything, be sure to check out the previous episodes where we go through the welcome flow and abandon cart. This one, we're going to go through the post-purchase, so stay tuned and we'll be breaking it down for you bit by bit. I was actually watching a video the other day and I heard a really good analogy, and I don't know if it's actually related to like the welcome flow, but it's almost like related to marketing in general. So how Uber actually structures their taxi service. So you order Uber, you see the taxi driver driving to you, then you get in the car and then you see yourself actually moving towards that location. The whole like psychology behind this is you're actually seeing constant progression. So even if your taxi is saying like a 20-minute wait, you can see it coming towards you, you can see the location, you can see where it's actually at. So you know something's happening and you can see it coming towards you. So you don't actually mind the wait. Whereas let's say, for example, you call your local cab company up and you don't have a clue where they are. They say they're going to be here at X time and they've just gone past the time. You don't actually know where they are. So in your mind, you can be like, right, can I get a faster way of getting home? What else can I do? Who can I call? And then you start looking around, moving away from their actual service. So Uber is a very good way of looking at the welcome flow series, because especially with drop shipping brands, if your shipping time's a little bit longer, you know, you're waiting like, I don't know, a week for your item to even arrive, you can be sending like partway through bits of emails saying like what to expect from your emails. We've had a slight delay. When, you know, drop shipping, there's obviously going to be some slight delays. So when you say that it's had like a delay after 3 days, when it arrives, say 5 days later, in reality, that's actually quite quick. So it's better than a week's delay than, you know, like a 4 or 5 day delay. I think it's a good point to mention as well. You know, when you see it on your orders, when it comes through like the Shopify delivery, so it comes up saying order confirmed, you know, your location, delivery, and etc. I think it's important to keep that as well, because it does have that element of trust, being that near enough every store like that's related to Shopify does have this, you know, post-purchase flow going through. So I would keep that and then have your own email flow, you know, sent like a 10-minute delay afterwards. So this is a flow of design for one of our clients. It's actually quite a simple flow. There's not a great deal to it. You know, depending on what your brand is, if it needs a little bit more, you know, like your shipping times are longer, you can obviously long the thank you flow out and then, you know, be following up for some upsells and more purchases in the future. So straight after the order, they're obviously going to get a order confirmation from Shopify or your shop supplier. So we wait 10 minutes, so they almost get like a little bump afterwards, you know, reminding them of their product. This is going to go into the conditional split. So we have 2-part series on this, and again, depending on how many times people order from you, you know, ordering what product, stuff like that, you can actually make these flows a lot bigger. So you can have, you know, after more orders, it can keep getting bigger and bigger, because if they are ordering multiple times, they don't want to be seeing the same thank you letters every time, when in reality they are kind of the same email. It's just, you know, structured different to say thank you for ordering again. So the first email, let's break it down into Figma. So the first email is literally just a thank you for choosing us, a little bit about the brand, what to expect. So here we're going through what's happening next. Team's going to be preparing the order, shipping it as soon as they get the details, and then if they've got any questions as well. This email isn't really focused on selling. I don't really tend to include any shop now buttons because they have just bought. And, you know, jumping straight into the second email. So this one, especially for the fashion brand, I'm using this brand to keep it all the same throughout, so you can kind of get a rough idea of, you know, our thought process behind things. So this one, it does have a shop now button, and we kind of are encouraging them to go back onto the website and have a browse again. But what we're actually breaking down in here is the care tip. So with this being like a high quality fabric, you know, wash it on cold, tumble dry at a low temp, and avoid bleach. So this is like aftercare tips of the product. So if you have something like a supplement, for example, you can break it down to what they're going to experience, say like 1 week into things, 2 weeks, a month. Again, because people, especially with supplements, it does have a delayed effect of when you're actually going to start seeing the benefits. So definitely by detailing stuff in here, it does kind of prepare people what to expect with your product. And it does just build up the hype and get them ready for what's coming next. The fourth email, especially with this one, our founder is really close with her brand. So we've written like an almost personal message from her saying thank you, like where the brand's begun, you know, the whole background behind like the loungewear, the materials, the production, and then a little like, it's like a low-key click now, like to link to the bestsellers. There's no real like big buttons that are going to, you know, click through to here. It is just a text-based email. It's a good pattern interrupt, and it just feels a lot more personal when it comes from when it comes written from the founder, even though like obviously it's automated, but it does have that personal touch, and it's a little bit different than just seeing like an image come through like that. So last email of the series is going to be almost like your chance to upsell, start promoting a few more products. And then, because by now they probably should have received your order if your shipping's pretty good. So they're probably going to be at the point where if they like your stuff and they're in that like hype mindset, then showing them some more stuff what they can buy is definitely going to increase your conversions when it comes to upsells. So here we have a dynamic block where it's going to just bring up the best sellers, anything, or it could be just new products, something that you want to be pushing at that moment in time. I find things, especially with the store that has quite a lot of images, it's easier to keep a dynamic block, especially with products changing so quickly, best sellers going out of stock, and it just helps you keep on top of things. However, if you're like a one product store or you have like less products in your store, I'd definitely recommend having it more image based rather than using these blocks, because these blocks do load a little bit slower and they can be a little bit laggier when it comes to emails. So definitely keep that in mind with choosing if you're going to use a product or your dynamic block. So these two emails over here, the little stragglers, these are the ones which you can actually make this flow longer, as I mentioned before. And then obviously if you're doing like more follow-ups, if they're repeat ordering over X amount of time, we can add some more into this, but I'm just keeping it basic for the video. These two are your stragglers for if they've purchased before. So if the order equals one or more. So, hey, welcome back. And then we've got a little bit of text saying, thanks for coming back, making them feel appreciative for keeping their business with us. And then here's what happens next. So it is pretty much the same email as here. And then in the next one, this is almost like they're going to be entered into the VIP section for this brand. So that means they're going to get exclusive access to discounts and early access. So especially with this brand, products sell out quick. And once they're sold out, they're not going to be able to get them again. So having VIP gives them first access to these drops. So to make sure they're going to secure their product. So this one, because your loyalty means everything to us. A little thank you on behalf of the family. You'll be the first to know it's like new arrivals, exclusive content behind the scenes. So it does make them feel a little bit more special, like they're going to be rewarded for keeping their business with us. And as I mentioned, they're going to be entered into the VIP flow. So you can set this up in your list and segments, just have everything in terms of like, depending on what you class as your VIP. So if they've ordered once or more, you could have them as your VIPs, or you could make it a different number depending on how like aggressive you want to be with your VIPs and stuff like that. So you don't want it to become something that everyone can get a hold of. Or, like, you don't want it to become across like really easy for people to get, because then the perceived value does drop. But depending on what your brand is, how many customers, your repeat customers, if you haven't got many repeat customers, you could just keep it to like one-time buyers and then add them into the VIP. So let's jump into creating the flow. So in Klaviyo, you want to just click create a flow, and simple as that, just type in thank you. And this one, I'm not going to be teaching SMS in this because it is an email marketing course. So I'm just going to be going into returning customers on here. So it's got the conditional split in here, and just click use template. I have seen it before where brands are using this one day delay. I'm not entirely against it. It depends on your brand. In my opinion, I like to keep things 10 minutes apart, or testing it a little bit further, maybe half an hour, because obviously they are going to get their order confirmation, their shipping and stuff like that, and then they're going to get a thank you from the brand. So it can quite be overwhelming with the amount of emails they receive from you. So definitely testing your delay time around that. In my opinion, 1 day is too far. Even if you are on a high ticket brand, I still do think it is quite far in my opinion. So delete this, and we want to come into triggers and set profile fillers. Add profile, what someone has or not done, and then choose metric, placed order, 0 times since starting this flow, and then click save. So what this is going to do is, let's say for example someone purchases today, you then send an email out for your upsells, they then purchase again, then you're going to be entering them into the exact same flow again. So you don't want to be spamming them with the same emails over and over and over again. So having this in there will definitely, break that up. And once they're done with that, they're going to be out of the flow. Then once they've a couple of days or however long has come past and they actually purchase from you again, they'll be entered into the flow once again. So this one actually has a conditional split in it, as the one I showed you earlier did. Has place order equals 1 over all times. That means they've purchased from you before. So in this one, you can tailor your content to people that are, as I mentioned, showed you earlier in them images, they've purchased from you more than once, so you can enter them into your VIP flows, make them feel a bit more special for purchasing from you. So let's chuck some more emails in. I'm going to keep it a little bit more simpler. So This one, we'll chuck 2 emails over here, and we'll make this a 4-part series over here. What I'm going to be doing is I'll tell you the timings between, and then in the email name, I'm going to break down what content to include. So you can take a screenshot of things, and then you can replicate this for your brand. So this is what your email flows should look like once you've imported all your emails and your time delays. Now I'm going to be breaking down your time delays in between each email, and I'll put in the email name what to include in this email, so you can just take a screenshot of this flow and then replicate it for your own brand and make it all good for yourself. So we have gone 2 days here for email 2. So this is going to be almost like a little follow-up to say, you know, what to expect, like shipping times, delivery, stuff like that. Especially if you're a dropshipping brand, you can say, like, look, we've got a delay. And then it's like that Uber thing I mentioned earlier. They can actually like feel the thing progressing towards them, especially if, like, you know, you're dropshipping and the shipping times are a little bit longer. This one, again, I probably would go between 2 to 3 days in this one. And in the third email, you can go into a little bit more detail of what to expect from your product. So what to expect, like I mentioned earlier, if you're a supplement brand, you know, results that you're going to get from purchasing things. Clothing brand, like how you're going to feel wearing it, you know, like the soft qualities, stuff like that. So how you're going to feel. Last one is a upsell. So when I mean upsell, you can just be, it doesn't have to be necessarily upselling them. It's just retargeting them with a few more items of your product. So by now they've probably had enough time to wear things. So we can delay this by about 5 days. And they've had enough time to wear things. You know, if they like your product, they're obviously going to be more interested, especially seeing an email come through to think, right, we'll see what else they've got that can make my experience with like clothes better. So especially if it's clothing, you know, they've brought trousers and they might be interested in a top, for example. So you can especially make it a little bit more, you know, personalized to that customer, especially if you're going into that amount of detail. Same on this side. So thank you for that. And then we're going to go 5 days on this one. And then this one, you can actually mention the loyalty program. Or if you wanted to throw another email in between, you can do upsells again. So how this would look is literally exactly the same as this. Maybe go round about the same time, to be honest. Add in a upsell and then your loyalty program again. The loyalty program is dependent on your brand. If you actually want to introduce loyalty programs, then that's all down to you. So now we've got everything planned out. If you want to take a screenshot of this, there should be enough time for you to see everything. So it's got your timers, all your emails, your days, and everything like that. So you can take a screenshot, break it all down to how it would suit your brand, and then go from there. If you haven't watched any of my tutorials, I actually show you how to build these in 𝐾𝐿. So I'm just going to give you a quick tutorial now and show you how to actually import your designs. If you've been and seen all this stuff before, you can tune out for this video. So I'd like to say a massive thank you for watching. If you are tuning out, feel free to subscribe and like, and stay tuned for the next video. So while we've deleted everything out of here, we are just going to bang in an image and jump over to Figma. So for this one, I'm actually just going to slice the whole email because there's no buttons in it. We don't need to use text and stuff like that. Make sure to export in JPEG as well, because if you use PNG and you've got transparent backgrounds, this is going to play nightmare when it comes to, you know, like dark mode and stuff like that. The reason why I actually choose importing a whole image over text and breaking it down into bits like that, I think even no matter how well you optimize your emails for dark mode, there's only so much you can do with it. So just having it all as one image is completely fine. It's going to have the same call to action button on there. And I'm going to not compress this for this one. And done. And then make sure to put your alt text. Thanks for choosing. And then we can link this to, you never really want to link things to the homepage. So if we go to bestsellers and just link it to bestsellers, bang. And then this is going to, the reason why as well with emails that work so well, this whole image is going to be a link, so they can just click straight through, no problem at all, and they don't have to faff around with things. And then obviously your footer, I've mentioned in previous videos, you can literally just have a universal block for your footer, so you can just drag and drop. Obviously this isn't the same brand, so the color scheme is completely different as well. One thing with images as well to mention, I'm just going through this quick because I have mentioned it in all the other videos. Your padding, you want to make sure your padding is 0, because if I put this padding at 10, you see how that's just like overlap the image. And then on dark mode, it's just going to look stupid because it's then going to flick to black and then your image is going to be outlined, which we don't want to be going with at all. So now this is done, preview and test. As you can see, this email is miles under and it's not at risk of being clipped. Then you can test it, sending it to your mobile, checking it on your computer. Again, with importing all images, which people don't tend to do for some reason, but all the top brands do, we do it and we see massive results. When you actually look at mobile, because we make it to 600 wide pixels, that means it's then going to fit perfect in your mobile phone and you're not having to shrink text. This amount of text, if you've done it in a text box on 𝐂𝐤𝐳, wouldn't fit very well on your screen, and then you're going to have to faff around with making it fit between desktop, mobile, and it's just a hassle that you don't really want to be seeing. So I want to say a massive thank you for getting to the end of this video. We are actually running a deal with our agency right now that we're going to guarantee a minimum of 75k new email revenue in the next 90 days. If not, we'll work for free. Even if you're not a six-figure company, feel free to still book in a call and we can still break you down, give you an audit, because especially if you're going to be a growing company, then we're going to be the ones that are going to handle your emails. That is how confident we are of our service that we're going to work for free. So feel free to use the link below, book in a call, and we'll audit the rest of your setup. Even if you're lucky, we might even throw in a free email design for you as well. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and stay tuned for the next free tutorial. Thanks for watching.